Hey witches, Mr. Overon here with Mr. Overon's Tarot Reading Services, and today I am going to tell you a simple spell to basically break any spell that you have created or you've cast. Now, this does not work against undoing a spell that somebody else has placed on you or a spell that has been placed on somebody else by another witch or whatever. That gets really tricky and really difficult. And there's a school of thought that only the casting witch can remove the spell from the person. And if you want more information on that topic in a later video, go ahead and shoot me a comment in the section down below and let's get into it. So, in magic, your word is what creates the power. Your intent is what puts it out into the universe. And so when you are standing before your altar or you're casting a spell, what you're doing is you're putting that out into the universe and you're trying to bring about this effect that you want to see happen. So by that same thought pattern, you can also unbreak, or you can break your spell or stop the workings of it. However, if you have done any kind of a contract or you have summoned a spirit and said, if you do XYZ for me, I will do XYZ for you, or if you called on a particular god or goddess and said, hey, help me with this or whatever, and you just want to break the effects of that spell at that point, it may have to run its course. But if you're just putting it out there that this is my will, this is my intention, this is what I want to happen, then you are going to be more likely able to break it, unless it is a lower level being that you are working with. So, what you need to do is you need to think of that spell that you have worked, put down all of the things that you have said about that spell, or if you can't remember the details and you cast it on a person, then just talk about the person. But since this is something that is very personal to you, you should probably remember the spell that you have cast on the situation. So this is, I'm going to read what I have written out here, and it's something that I wrote out especially for this video and something that I use myself. So, the tools that you're going to need that you're going to want to have available to you is, if you've placed the spell on somebody, you are going to want a picture of that person or something that is personal to that person. It could even be their signature, or a piece of their hair, a piece of their clothing, whatever that you have that connects you to that person. You're going to take some salt. It's best if you have these three ingredients that I'm going to name off. You're going to want salt. You are going to want sulfur, and you are going to want ash, like ash from a fireplace or something like that. If you don't have fireplace ash, you can use ash from your incense. You can use ash from your sage bundle, whatever you want to do. But you're going to want ash. Ideally, you're going to want to mix all three of them together and make a circle going counterclockwise around the item. Don't go clockwise with the item, because that's going to seal it and pull the energy into that. You want to go counterclockwise, so then that way you are undoing what has been done by time or by the spell or whatever. And you are going to want enough of this that you can go around in a circle one full time without any like little like spare like bare spots. I'm sorry. Um, but you're gonna want to try to go around at least 3 times. Um, at the yeah, 3 times at the minimum. The color of candles that you're gonna want to use is you're gonna want to use black. Now, if you don't have access to black candles, you can do a white candle. White is the universal color and does all the things that every other candle can do. Um, because the color white is the absorption of all colors. The color black is the expulsion of all colors, or however, I can't remember which one it is right now, but basically, white is your universal candle that will work for any color candle that you need. Um, but if you don't have a white candle or a black candle, then try to have some kind of source of candle. It doesn't matter if it's pink or red or whatever else, but typically, if you're any kind of a witch or a practitioner, you're going to have at least one white candle. Doesn't matter if it's already been burned or not. Um, it would be helpful if it was not used, or if you can get one of the giant black or giant white candles in a jar. You can usually find them at dollar stores or something like that. If you can get one of those, you're going to want to light it and leave it burning for 3 days on top of this picture or whatever you, on top of the picture or next to the picture, whatever it is that you're using to represent that person. You're going to want to let it burn out for the entirety of the time that it's gone. And if you look at back at my previous videos, and I'll try to leave a link somewhere up here about how to read glass candles, you'll see if that spell has worked or not. But um, regardless, if you're going to use a glass jar candle or you're just going to use a regular candle, you want to let it try to burn all the way out. But if you can't let it burn out because of safety issues or whatever else, then meditate with it for 10 to 15 minutes and then blow it out. Now, you're never supposed to blow a candle out because it makes the magic go away. You're always supposed to snuff it out, but in this case, you're going to want to blow it out because you're blowing out, you're making it go away. You want that power, that energy, that whatever to stop. So, um, once you have that all taken care of, now you can do a cone of power, you can do a protective shield around you, whatever you feel necessary to protect and consecrate your space and do this working. But you need to focus on the item of the person, have the candle burning, and have that circle of salt, ash, and sulfur. If you don't have sulfur and you don't have the ash, at least put the circle of salt down counterclockwise. Once you get yourself all situated and ready to go, you're going to say, I call to the gods and goddesses, those elemental and eternal forces, and unto the universe, to turn back that which I have cast. I no longer seek the effects. I no longer want this will to be done. I, and then you insert your magical name. Now, if you don't have a magical name, you just say your name. So, I, Oron Magnus, hereby undo that which I have done. Those words spoken, now I rescind. Those energies summoned, I hereby ground. Return thee one and all, and let this spell cease. As it was my word spoken, now it shall be broken. And then you can add more to this, or you can just leave it as is. But as you are reciting these words, you want to see it in your mind. You want to see the spell that you've cast, like start rewinding and going back in time to before you had cast it. And when you're talking about it being broken and you resending your words, you're like seeing those words come back to you and like chains being broken, you know, whatever imagery helps for you. But as it's your word, it's your intent, it's your magic that you've put out there, this will, well, I should say, this should work for you. There are a number of different things that that happen when you cast a spell that may keep it from happening, but using this format, I have seen with my own spells that I've been able to break and resend it. Now, if the spell has already taken place, like you put a love spell on somebody and it's starting to go bad or whatever else, you kind of have to follow through with that. But if you've cast a spell and it's been a week or so and you don't see any changes and you have a change of heart, then you're going to want to resend it or whatever else. But using that format and saying those words, you have put that energy out there and you're saying, okay, I resend that. I bring, bring that back. It's done. And like I said, now with the candles, it 100% depends on what type of candle you're going to use. If you're going to use the glass jar candle and it's brand new, you're going to let it burn until it's no longer done. If it's just the candle, like a taper candle or something like that, you're going to meditate with that for a while if you don't want to leave it burning. And while you're meditating on it, just meditate on the situation, what has happened, what was supposed to happen, and your words like going backwards in time. So you're like rewinding everything that had happened or was going to happen, and focus on like putting that energy to rest. So you can think of like something chasing after this person and falling and like disappearing or whatever that imagery is best for you. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, if somebody has placed a spell on a person and you're trying to take that off, chances are you're not going to be able to. What you could do, however, is layer the spells. So somebody put a spell on this person to like really fuck their life up. So what you could do is you could put a spell on top of that spell that lessens the effects of that other spell. So if the first person said, okay, I want their life to fall apart, I want them to lose their home, I want them to lose their money, I want them to lose everything that makes them them, you could put a spell on top of that and kind of layer it and say, um, instead of losing all of their employment and being completely broken destitute, that they are able to find a job that is better suited for them and that they walk away from the job that they're currently at. Instead of losing their home and becoming homeless, they then find a better suited place for them that is going to be happier for them and cheaper for them, and so on and so forth. So take the aspects of the spell that somebody has put on this person and you kind of counter it. Um, I hate to make this movie reference, but think of Sleeping Beauty when Maleficent puts the spell on Aurora, and then you have the three fairies that come through and say, well, instead of death, let her just sleep. Instead of this, let true love's kiss find her, and blah, 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 and all this other stuff. So what they did is they weren't able to break Maleficent's spell, but they were able to layer another spell on top of it that lessens those effects and kind of, in a sense, dilutes them and counteracts them. It gets very convoluted and it's kind of advanced spell working once you like actually get into the meat and potatoes of it. But um, basically, that's how you work breaking spells. Um, if somebody says that for the next 20 years, this is what your life is going to be like, you can go through and say, okay, for the next year or so, in 6 months of that year, your life is going to fall apart. But from the ashes of your life falling apart, it's going to become something completely better, and so on and so forth, and work in that direction, and bring good and prosperity back to them. So I hope that this has helped. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please put them in the comment section down below. And if you would like for me to do a tarot reading for you, or cast spells, or whatever else that you would might need, hit me up. My website is www.mroveron.com, and you can shoot me an email, mroveron@gmail.com, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye, witches.